take a slow breath for a moment. Before anything else, let your mind settle and your heart become still. This message did not reach you by accident, and it is not here to rush you or frighten you. It arrived quietly, at a moment when your soul was ready to notice something gentle yet meaningful. Sometimes, the most important moments in life do not announce themselves loudly. They arrive softly, asking only for your attention and your presence. You may not realize it yet, but there has been a shift happening inside you. Over the past days or weeks, you may have felt moments of restlessness followed by calm, confusion followed by sudden clarity, or questions arising that did not have clear answers. This is not weakness. This is awareness awakening. When life prepares you for change, it often begins internally, long before anything visible happens on the outside. This message is not about predicting something dramatic or forcing you to believe anything instantly. It is about reminding you of something you already carry within you. There is a reason you are still searching, still listening, still hoping quietly even when you feel tired. That reason is your inner strength, your resilience, and the part of you that has not given up, even when circumstances felt heavy. You have been through moments where you questioned your own worth, where you wondered if your efforts truly mattered, or if anyone truly saw the silent battles you faced. What you may not have noticed is that each of those moments shaped you. They taught you patience, empathy, and depth. Not everyone walks this path, and not everyone is willing to grow this way. That is why awareness feels rare, and why it feels personal when it arrives. Right now, the most important thing is not what will happen next, but how you choose to be present in this moment. Growth does not come from panic or urgency. It comes from clarity. When you slow down and listen inwardly, you begin to recognize which thoughts serve you and which ones you can gently let go of. This is how real transformation begins, quietly, steadily, and with intention. You are not required to share this moment with anyone else. Some experiences are meant to be private, not because they are secret, but because they are personal. Reflection works best when it is honest and uninterrupted. Allow yourself a few moments of silence after this, and notice what feelings rise naturally. There is wisdom in observing without judging, in listening without reacting immediately. If something within you feels lighter right now, that is a sign of alignment. If something feels emotional, that is a sign of release. Both are part of healing. You do not need to rush toward answers. Trust that clarity unfolds step by step, exactly when you are ready to understand it fully. Remember this. You are not behind, you are not late, and you are not forgotten. Life unfolds differently for each soul, and comparison only hides your unique path. What matters is that you continue forward with awareness, patience, and self-respect. That is where peace grows, and that is where meaningful change begins. Take one more deep breath. Carry this calm with you. Let this moment stay with you, not as pressure, but as quiet reassurance. Before anything else, understand this clearly and calmly. This moment is not about urgency created by fear. It is about attention created by meaning. There is a difference between panic and awareness, and what you are experiencing right now is awareness gently tapping on your inner door. You were not pulled here by coincidence, nor by randomness. Something within you paused at the right time, and that pause matters more than you realize. Many people move through life constantly distracted, constantly reacting, rarely listening. They scroll, they rush, they fill silence with noise, and they avoid stillness because stillness forces honesty. But you stopped. Even for a brief moment, you stopped. That alone separates you from most people. Awareness always begins with a pause, and that pause is what allows deeper understanding to enter. There has been a quiet preparation happening around you, even if you could not see it clearly. Certain situations slowed down, certain doors did not open immediately, certain answers took longer than expected. At the time, it may have felt frustrating or confusing. But now, from a higher perspective, those delays were not denials. They were alignment. They were creating space so that when clarity arrived, you would be able to receive it without resistance. You may have noticed that your tolerance for shallow conversations, meaningless drama, or empty promises has decreased. Things that once felt normal now feel draining. This is not because something is wrong with you. It is because you are outgrowing environments that no longer match your inner frequency. Growth often feels like isolation before it feels like peace, and many people misunderstand this phase and try to escape it instead of understanding it. Right now, you are being reminded of something essential. You are not here to live on autopilot. You are here to live consciously. That does not mean perfection. It means awareness. It means noticing your thoughts instead of becoming trapped by them. It means recognizing when fear is speaking and when intuition is guiding. The more you practice this awareness, the clearer your path becomes. There is also something important you need to release. Carrying emotional weight for too long clouds judgment and blocks clarity. Pain that is never acknowledged does not disappear, it simply hides beneath the surface. This moment invites you to acknowledge without reliving, to feel without drowning, and to let go without bitterness. Healing does not erase the past, it changes your relationship with it. You are not being asked to believe blindly or to follow anything blindly. You are being asked to trust your inner sense of truth. That quiet voice inside you has tried to guide you many times before, but it was often drowned out by noise, doubt, or the opinions of others. Now, that voice is becoming harder to ignore, not because it is louder, but because you are finally listening. Understand this deeply, not everything meaningful in life arrives wrapped in certainty. Sometimes clarity comes as a feeling before it becomes a fact. Sometimes peace arrives before understanding. And sometimes, direction appears only after you take the first step inward. This is one of those moments. You do not need all the answers right now. You only need honesty with yourself. There is no pressure here, only presence. No demand, only invitation. When something is truly meant for you, it does not force itself aggressively. It aligns naturally. It resonates. It stays with you even after the moment passes. If this message feels like it lingers instead of fades, that is because it connects with something real inside you. As you continue listening, you may feel emotions rise unexpectedly. Do not suppress them. Emotions are not obstacles, they are signals. They show you where healing is happening and where growth is required. Allow them to pass through without judgment. Strength is not the absence of emotion. Strength is the ability to remain grounded while feeling deeply. You are not required to explain this experience to anyone else. Some shifts are internal before they are external. Talking too early can dilute clarity. Let understanding settle first. Let insight become stable. When the time comes to speak or act, you will know naturally, without confusion or doubt. This part of your journey is about alignment, not acceleration. About depth, not display. About awareness, not noise. The more you honor this process, the more peacefully things will unfold. Nothing meant for you will miss you. Nothing real requires panic to arrive. Stay present. Stay calm. Stay honest with yourself. There is something important happening beneath the surface of your life right now, something quiet yet powerful, something that does not announce itself loudly but changes everything once it is understood. Most people miss these moments because they are waiting for dramatic signs, sudden miracles, or external validation. But true transformation rarely arrives with noise. It arrives with recognition. And recognition always begins internally. You may have felt, at different times, that life has been asking more from you than from others. Not in obvious ways, but subtle ones. A deeper level of responsibility, a stronger emotional awareness, a heavier sensitivity to truth and injustice. This was never meant to burden you. It was meant to shape you. Sensitive souls are often misunderstood because the world values speed over depth, reaction over reflection, noise over meaning. Think back for a moment. There were times when you felt disconnected from people even while being surrounded by them. Conversations felt shallow. Laughter felt incomplete. Advice felt rehearsed. This did not mean you were broken. It meant you were becoming more aware. Awareness creates distance from anything that lacks authenticity. And that distance can feel lonely before it feels liberating. You have carried questions inside you that you never fully voiced. Questions about purpose, direction, and why certain patterns kept repeating despite your efforts to change them. These patterns were not punishments. They were lessons repeating until they were understood. Once awareness replaces confusion, repetition loses its purpose. There is also a reason you have struggled with letting go. In the past. Not because you are weak, but because you feel deeply. When you care fully. When you commit with your whole being. The world often takes advantage of this depth, but depth itself is not the problem. Lack of boundaries is. And boundaries are learned through experience, not theory. Right now, something within you is recalibrating. Old emotional responses no longer fit. Old coping mechanisms feel exhausting. You may notice that you can no longer tolerate things you once accepted just to keep peace. This is growth. Growth is uncomfortable because it requires you to choose yourself without guilt. And guilt often appears when you stop betraying your own needs. You are being reminded that peace is not found in controlling outcomes, people, or timing. Peace is found in alignment. Alignment with what feels honest. Alignment with what feels right even when it is difficult. Alignment with your inner values instead of external approval. Once alignment is achieved, clarity follows naturally. There is no rush here. The urgency you sometimes feel is not external pressure. It is your inner awareness asking you to stop postponing your own growth. You have delayed certain decisions not because you didn't know what to do, but because you were afraid of what choosing yourself might cost. Yet every time you ignored that inner voice, it returned stronger. This moment is not asking you to change everything overnight. It is asking you to acknowledge what you already know. To stop pretending you are confused when you are actually hesitant. To stop seeking signs when you are already receiving understanding. Truth does not shout. It waits patiently until you are ready to accept it. You may also feel an emotional softening happening. Old wounds surfacing not to hurt you again, but to be released properly. Healing does not mean forgetting. It means integrating. It means allowing pain to inform wisdom, rather than dictate fear. Once pain becomes wisdom, it no longer controls you. Notice how your perception is shifting. You are beginning to observe your thoughts instead of drowning in them. This is a sign of inner maturity. When awareness increases, emotional reactions decrease. You begin to respond instead of react. You begin to listen instead of defend. You begin to choose peace instead of chaos. There is a quiet strength forming inside you. Not the loud kind that demands recognition, but the steady kind that does not need validation. This strength allows you to walk away from what drains you without anger. It allows you to stand alone without feeling abandoned. It allows you to trust the process even when outcomes are unclear. You are not behind. You are not late. You are exactly where you need to be to understand what comes next. Growth is not linear, and clarity is not instant. But once awareness is achieved, progress becomes inevitable. Stay present with this feeling. Let it settle. Let it anchor itself inside you. This is not a moment to rush past. This is a moment to absorb. There comes a point in every journey where silence speaks louder than guidance, where nothing more needs to be explained because something has already been understood. This is that point. Not an ending, not a conclusion, but a quiet alignment where everything you have been feeling finally begins to make sense without effort. You are not here by accident, and this moment is not random. It is the result of every experience that shaped you, every pause that forced you to reflect, every disappointment that taught you discernment, and every delay that protected you from moving forward too early. What once felt like stagnation was preparation. What once felt like confusion was refinement. Notice how your inner world feels different now. Not dramatic, not overwhelming, just calmer. This calm is not emptiness. It is clarity. It is the space created when you stop fighting your own awareness. When you stop asking why things happened and begin understanding what they shaped within you. You were never meant to follow the same timeline as others. Comparison only creates noise, and noise blocks intuition. Your path has always required patience because depth takes time. The things you are becoming cannot be rushed without losing meaning. That is why life slowed you down. Not to punish you, but to preserve you. There were moments when you doubted yourself quietly, moments when you wondered if your sensitivity was a weakness, moments when you wished you could feel less and move faster like everyone else. But sensitivity is perception. And perception is power when it is understood. You see what others miss. You feel what others suppress. That is not something to fix. That is something to honor. Right now, you are learning to trust your inner stillness more than external opinions. You are learning that not every thought deserves your attention, and not every emotion requires a reaction. This is maturity. This is self-respect. This is the beginning of emotional sovereignty. You may not yet see all the results of this inner shift, but you will feel them. In the way you respond differently. In the way certain things no longer trigger you. In the way your energy naturally withdraws from what no longer aligns. Growth is not loud. It is subtle, consistent, and undeniable over time. Let go of the idea that clarity must come with certainty. Sometimes clarity simply means knowing what you will no longer accept. Sometimes progress is not moving forward, but standing still without anxiety. Peace is not the absence of challenges. It is the absence of inner resistance. You are allowed to rest in this awareness. You are allowed to pause without guilt. You are allowed to trust that what is meant for you does not require force. When something is aligned, it flows naturally. When something is not, it drains you no matter how hard you try. This is not a moment of urgency. It is a moment of presence. Presence is where real transformation happens. When you are fully present, you stop living in anticipation or regret. You begin living in understanding. And understanding changes everything quietly, gently, permanently. Carry this awareness with you. Not as a belief, but as a way of being. Let it guide your decisions, your boundaries, your patience, and your self-respect. You do not need to announce it. You do not need to explain it. Those who are meant to understand will feel it. For now, breathe. Let this settle. Nothing more is required from you in this moment. If this message brought clarity, comment, "I choose calm and truth," to ground the intention. And if you want to continue receiving messages like this, subscribe and stay connected. Some guidance arrives step by step, exactly when the heart is ready.